We're back for another Docky Who, for some Star Warsy news, and the new Ryan Coogler movie. So should we? I think, considering that this will be on the old YouTubes,
Oh yeah.
and it's going to be a Doc 2 sort of thumb this week, I feel like we should start with Doc 2 and then dive into all that goodness. However, just before we talk about Doc 2 Lux,
Yes.
I just want to say we're very sorry to everyone that we hurt with the video 2 weeks before.
Very sorry.
We
caused a lot of pain.
Yeah, we apologise for our actions in that. Well, I mean, really, I know you guys are letting me off. It's his fault, really, isn't it? Come on, yeah. No,
I could say
duped.
It was him.
It was all him.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. Like, I see why you thought it was directed by Jordan Peele, the new film Him, because all the marketing is like Jordan Peele's Him, new. Ignore that. What's that? Jordan Peele's Him, a new film from him.
I got swallowed up the river just as much as I did the same to you guys, you know?
And they're truly trying to market it as if it's another Jordan Peele joint.
I mean, the poor director's name is nowhere to be found. So it's just...
They also did this before with Nia DaCosta with Candyman.
They did.
People thought that was Jordan Peele's new film Candyman, but it was not. It was Nia DaCosta's Candyman, but he was all over the marketing.
Yeah.
I get why they do it,
but
it is confusing. I see why you were like, on the pod, like, have you seen the new trailer?
Yeah. Because I literally was like, articles being like, Jordan Peele's new movie, Jordan Peele's next film. So I'm like, okay, I'll see the poster. Maybe I should have dived in further, but
it's actually directed by Justin Tippin.
So I believe it's like their first film, or it's like their breakout.
They did a film called Kicks. Lowriders, which I've not seen.
Oh, they've done more. So fucking, I'm wrong again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just spreading misinformation. Just miss Ryan set list for reference, isn't
There's been quite a lot of television.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
There you go.
I think the trailer looked cool. It'd be fun to check it out.
Yep.
But it is definitely not directed by Jordan Peele. No. Anyway, Doc 2, Lux. The second episode of the new season. Weirdly paralleling the second episode of last season. There's not only a direct visual callback, I don't know if you picked up on this, to the sort of like unbroken shots where Doctor and Companion change into period appropriate attire. The way they walk in and come out of another part of the TARDIS in the clothes. Did you notice that?
No,
it was shot the exact same way as they did it in the Beatles episode.
Oh, okay.
And that was also the second episode.
Yeah.
So visual callbacks, and then of course just the overarching story of it being, here's another god from the pantheon that we're going to meet.
Yeah.
That the Doctor's going to take on really early on in the season. So a lot of interesting parallels. I would say again, and a lot of people in the comments last week disagreed. I would say again, the first episode was better this year than last year.
Oh, they thought the first
Space Babies was better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Yeah, that as well. Yeah, because I thought there was more to chew on with the Robot Revolution.
Yeah, same.
I also think this episode is better than that Beatles episode with the Maestro.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
That really was the first true sign. Well, I didn't love the 60th, but I think that second episode was the first real point where I was like, oh no. There's always a twist at the end.
I forgot about that, yeah. Yeah, you're right. That was kind of the one where we were sitting there a bit worried, weren't we?
Yeah. And then the following week, there was a Stephen Moffat episode, and it was like, oh, maybe it is going to be good. And then it started to go down again. But yeah, so this episode, the Doctor and Belinda kicking off that frost from last week where it's like, you got to get me home, I've got to try and get back to 2025. They end up in the 1950s, and then they go to a haunted cinema where there's no patrons. You could be mistaken for thinking it's just cinema in the modern age, but no, this is actually a haunted cinema. I was thinking when I was watching it, because we watched it apart, there's nothing scary if you was there. This possibly could be the scariest Doctor Who episode. Empty cinema.
Yeah.
No one goes
through. I've never been more scared since, I Am Your Mummy, whereas since Blink.
Blink.
Yeah. Yeah, which gets a reference in this episode as well.
Yeah, it's like an absolute epic.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it was terrifying, the thought of that. I mean, I feel like we're living in that right now. Already.
Yeah, Lux is just a lot.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think should we talk about the positives?
Yeah, I agree.
I think first off, I like that if we're going into the 1950s and we've got the first ever Doctor companion pairing that are not white. We've had non-white companions, obviously non-white Doctor last year, but this is the first time it's been Doctor companion.
Yep.
No whiteys to be found.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to tackle the subject matter of, well, we're in the 1950s in America. This like diner should be segregated. So like we have to kind of, it's not like the Doctor when he's like Peter Capaldi or Matt Smith, he can kind of go anywhere in time, and like be sort of welcomed.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea that it's like they kind of have to take it into account, and that kind of plays into the episode in like I think quite like a mature way, especially for this RTD2 era, which, as we talked about last week, Planet of the Insult was very on the nose.
I agree.
I felt that was actually handled quite nicely, and I thought it was quite interesting. Like, for example, I know it turned out to not be like quite reality, but the mum that lost her kid accepting the Doctor's help, and then later on she's like, it's kind of like racially motivated that she's like got the police officer to like and be like, I don't trust that guy. It's because like it's kind of implied in the subtext that it's because he's not white and that kind of thing. And for the setting, I think that's relevant. It's the 50s. There is segregation in the diner. I think that's all played out quite nicely.
I agree.
And then the actual God in this episode, I thought was really cool.
I agree. I thought it was a fun concept. It was fun to sort of show off the new production value that they have now.
When he comes out the screen, the opening as well, when he starts going like, "Why don't you shut up over there?"
Yeah,
that
was
funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
I also love that he's what is he called? He's called Lux, the God of Light, but his other like persona is like Mr. Ring-a-Ding.
Mr. Ring-a-Ding, yeah.
I wanna play with my ding-a-ling.
He looks like a Cuphead boss.
He does,
yeah.
But I also I couldn't put my finger on it during the episode. I was like, what does he remind me of in horror that I really enjoy? And I was looking at like the way his eyes are kind of like, one of his eyes is kind of like drifting off. Like he's never quite looking at you in the eyes, is he? He's sort of like looking off. I was like, it really reminds me of the It clown. Pennywise, yeah. Like his eyes don't. I don't know if it's just the more recent adaptation or if it's more the canon of Pennywise, but in that particular version, his eyes don't look at you directly, do they? They're sort of like drifting off.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård could actually do that, couldn't he? He could move one eye separate.
Yeah. And I thought that was...
Yeah.
I wonder if the production team was playing on that specifically. And also I thought that, we're jumping ahead of it, but when he became a bit more 3D, I thought he really was channeling Pennywise then.
Yeah,
something really Pennywise about it.
It was quite terrifying. Also, I think the best CG in the entire series as well. Yeah. I thought that was really... He looked really good.
He was also funny.
He was funny, yeah. And I think... it's fit this sort of shooty tone that we've had so far as well.
Yeah. But it's what we were talking about last week, where it's like, we said last week, like the robots are not cool, and it's lame for that reason. Whereas this week, it's like the show knows that Mr. Ring-a-Ding isn't like inherently scary or cool, like, and it plays on that, and then it looks back around to being like creepy again.
Yeah,
like when he's like chasing after him and he's like, I should have learned about perspective.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
and the way he like kind of falls under the door.
Yeah,
all of that stuff was really cool.
Yeah, he was quite intimidating.
I thought he was creepy. Like when he came in, he was like face to face to him. I'm like, I don't want to get near this thing.
No,
I felt like he's just gonna like eat me or something. Yeah. I don't know. But again, we were talking about last week with like you coming in as sort of the casual fan.
Yeah,
a couple of things this week that I was like, oh, I do feel like we're signaling the end of this current era of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards, because we're constantly, as with last year, like retreading similar beats to other episodes. And this week it was like the people trapped in the film. I don't know if you remember during the David Tennant era, there was an episode where like people got caught in TVs.
It does ring a bell slightly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I was like, well, that's kind of derivative of that.
Yeah.
And then also just the whole thing about like he could go 2D and 3D. And then the Doctor and Belinda being like, oh, we're two-dimensional, all that sort of stuff. There's an episode in the Capaldi era called Flatline, which deals with these monsters that come from a 2D dimension. So then when they come into the 3D world, they're all like 2D. It kind of plays with perspective, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Really good episode as well.
Okay.
So again, it was sort of like getting that point where it's like, I'm enjoying some of this, but also some of it feels like I've seen it before in a bad way. But Lux, I do think he's one of the better gods. I think the Maestro God really didn't work for me just because I didn't really get what her power set was or how she could be defeated.
You didn't understand the rule set at all.
No.
His rules were clear and we got it by the end.
Yeah.
I also just want to quickly talk about Belinda, because I actually think that she is a better companion than the previous companion already for me.
Completely agree.
I think her performances have been really good, and I find her really likable, actually. Yeah, and I've been quite enjoying their dynamic together. I like how she constantly kind of challenges him.
But I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's there's conflict between them.
Yeah.
I like that she's kind of like, she sees him as impressive, but she's not like necessarily like bowled over by him in the same way like Ruby or like Rose would be, where it's like, oh, Doctor, you're so amazing. Like, she's a bit more like
a reluctant hero almost. She doesn't want to go on the adventure. She keeps trying to go back home, and he keeps
and I like
keeping more reasons.
She sees the grey to him already.
I agree, yeah.
And I agree with you. I think I did like Ruby, but I think the thing that was not working is they were like besties from the start. Was I much prefer, like, by the end of this episode, she's like, yeah, I do trust you. That feels like it's kind of come around in an earned way.
I agree. Also, that I was bothering me the last season, the whole mystery around her, they kept building up. Because it never felt it was going to be anything interesting. It turned out it wasn't really. And
she named you when she pointed at that road.
Yeah.
In this like weird surveillance world that we're currently standing in.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, like you would never know that you were being surveilled in this very moment to point at the road. It's just absolute nonsense.
It was nonsense. Yeah, it was bollocks, wasn't it?
Which I feel like that nonsense we will bring up in a sec when we talk about something else.
There's a little bit of that, yep, for sure. But yeah, I completely agree. I think it's more earned. I think maybe they've learned from the previous season. I know they've got we've got this thing hanging over it a little bit where it's like there's a future relative, looks like her or whatever. But it doesn't feel as central to what our overarching theme was on the previous seasons.
The whole simple idea of getting her home is great, and I agree with you. It's all rooted in her character and her relationship to the Doctor. Yeah. It's not a mystery of who is she, which I don't think ever works. It didn't work with Ruby last year. I think you'd stop watching at this point, but like when Clara was introduced, that was all centered around who is she really, and it didn't work. And the only time that character started working was when we found out the mystery, and then we forgot about it, never mentioned it again, and then she paired up with Capaldi, and then she became a character with like a job and a boyfriend and like a home life and family, and like then suddenly like she was so much more interesting.
Yeah.
So I think like that Ruby to Belinda parallel is like present there with Clara, where it's like now that we've ditched all that stuff, even though we've got a new companion, it feels much stronger.
I agree. And I mean, another example is Rey Skywalker. As a prime, is a prime example of like
when she could be a person. It was way more interesting.
Yep, it was way more interesting to us when we found out she was nobody special.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people weren't happy about
that. Yeah, why are you bringing this up, man? Like, we're just gonna get fucking shit comments.
Yeah, you go. That's what I did. I should push the video. Get more comments. But Agent of Q2, we live off the hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fuels us. But yeah, no, and yeah, that turned out to be nonsense as well. So I think there's a lot of examples of stop doing that.
Stop making that.
It's never good
boxes.
It's never gonna be as interesting as what you can make up in your mind. I feel like I think that's the problem with those things.
Whereas making them relatable, giving them like a kind of relatable problem, like I just want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
And then extrapolating from that, that's much more interesting.
I agree.
And I liked how she saved the day, and I did like what they were going for with the trapped usher that was sort of given the deal of like, well, you can see your wife. And I liked the dialogue where he was like, well, if this cartoon guy's real, how can you say to me that my wife's like apparition isn't real, that he's created? Like, she's just as real as he is, really. Like, I liked all that. I thought it was a bit corny the way it was resolved.
It's not given enough time either.
Yes,
I think that's the big thing. It just is kind of a bit tacked on, and in the meantime, we've got a couple of moments of them just being like, "Oh, look, you're Velma, and you're Scooby," and it's like, and then also we cut to this, and it just didn't quite work. And I see the intentions, but I don't think they gave it enough time.
Another problem I have with it, which I also had with the Maestro episode, and to a lesser extent, the Sutek and the Toymaker stuff, feels really small, which would be fine if it's like random monster of the week, because Doctor Who does episodes really well where it's just like they're trapped in a base, they're trapped in a room, and there's a monster. But I think when you do that, but you're also telling me like this is the god of light, I feel like bigger things should be happening than just like they turn up to one stretch of closed off road that they've made look period, one diner interior and one cinema.
Yeah.
They never go anywhere else in the
Yeah,
50s.
no.
Like, so it feels so tiny.
But also even just the Lux himself, like, but he made people disappear in a cinema for, what was it, a month or whatever, 3 weeks or whatever, and then he just, chilled? What was he doing?
Yeah.
Till they turned up.
Well, I guess he's trapped inside, isn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Would he not lure people in?
Yeah, is he not?
Does he not?
Is he not? He's a bit. He's not. Yeah, he's not being proactive about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Strange.
But then on the flip side, I did really like the way he's dispatched, and the doctor's like, we can still drown even though we're made out of water. Like, it's almost like he stays inside because to be given like infinite light would like overwhelm him, and like it's almost kind of like something. He doesn't quite die, but I feel like he's sort of released from the bound of like his morality.
He becomes one with the earth.
The way he keeps expanding, and it's like, it was the point where I was like the shot of like the cosmos, and he's just getting bigger. I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
What is happening?
What did I take for this?
Like he becomes kind of infinite.
Yeah.
To the point where I wonder if like
those Easter eggs are kicking in.
I wonder if he'll come back as like an ally to the Doctor. I feel like there's something like that's kind of like redeemed in his like.
Yeah, he's like, you say you freed me.
I feel like there's a little bit of that going on at play.
For sure. I mean, he seemed happy about it. He had tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
And
like, he didn't. For once, not the Doctor crying. Although the next time for next week, he's crying again, isn't he?
No, he cried in this episode.
He had like a little
moment.
Yeah, but it wasn't quite. I was like,
It didn't get given the moment, but which I don't know if that's worse or not. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
I just hate like. I feel like it's kind of like criticizing the crying makes it look like you're like men can't cry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not the case at all. It's like you just got to save the moments for the right emotional beat.
Walking in, crushing cans. Listening to Rogan talking about fucking
beating people up with
chopping wood. Yeah. God, that's
Yeah.
You should be listening to Modern Wisdom.
Yeah.
We're not saying
no.
We're just saying that you could cry a little bit like less and it would be more special.
When it happens, we feel it. And then guess what, Matt? We're crying.
Yeah.
We're crying with it.
You know what actually did get me a little bit?
Go on.
Was when he goes and meets the fans, and they were like, "I will always still love you." Then I was like, "Yeah, I always will love you, Doctor, even when you're not very entertaining." Like, even though I was not really enjoying that stuff.
Can't believe they got you
a little bit. I
didn't. In a low blow, so I
cry.
Yeah,
I was putting around.
There's nothing wrong with that, mate. If you did,
but I just was a bit like, yeah. That kind of upsets me.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like in a meta way. I was like, yes, this.
Especially when they're referencing an episode I know you love as well.
What with Blink?
Yeah.
And it's like this always will be something special to me, but it's kind of sad watching it in this on life support.
Yeah. It almost felt like it was like Russell T Davies is aware that there's a lot of fans that aren't happy with it.
Yes, but it also. My problem with that, right, is I think there's been a whole kind of smugness to this era. And like, like RTD's written some fantastic Who stuff that's not Who, like it's seeing like top tier work. And I feel like he's brought this energy into this new era of like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want and it's all going to work. And like, even when stuff's clearly been not working in terms of like ratings, and he originally said that it was going to be Who yearly, and now it's become this whole spin of like, well, we're waiting to see what Disney think. It's like, that was not the case. It's like, there's still been this like kind of like smug through line. And then to then like put the fans in themselves. And like, like that one character's like, yeah, I predicted this plot twist, rip Doctor Who. And like, they're all kind of like, they're being called out on like saying things don't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like you can get away with that and have fun with that more if the show has been better, if the show's made more sense. Like, I think it comes across, I don't know if this was the intention, but it comes across quite arrogant to be like, let's make fun of some fans when the season finale, you literally revealed that Sue Tech was like Sue Tech. And again, like what we talked about earlier, like your mum, who was for some reason dressed like a Jedi Knight, is a normal woman, and she left you by this place, and she named you by pointing there, even though didn't know she was being filmed. Like, you can't do all of that absolute taffy plotting, and then in the next season be like, hey, look, you people that complained about that stuff making no sense. This is you on the screen. This is how silly you look. It's like,
no, it's true. Yeah, it is a bit like that. And I think what bothers me about it is it comes at it with the idea that what you just described there is no different to, because obviously there's a lot of things in Doc 2 where it's like, Ghibli Goop, right?
Yeah,
it's Ghibli Goop within the universe.
Is that the new Tommy Wimey?
Yeah, Tommy Wimey. Yeah, he's Ghibli Goop. Yeah, but it's Ghibli Goop within the universe. It still works within the boundaries of that world, right? And it will have the logic of that world put onto it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like there's been a few cases in his seasons where it's a bit like things just get pulled out your arse, where it just doesn't really have much of a setup to a conclusion, a way of defeating the monster. And I think a lot of it's been because of, like what you said before, where the monsters or the bad guys have been a bit more sort of ethereal, a bit more mystical rather than scientific.
There's no
in that
well, it's more just like I really think it's lazy,
more spiritual rather than technical. Yeah,
I think it's lazy every time the gods are like presented to the Doctor, and he's like, "You're bound by the rules. You have to tell me how to defeat you." It's like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind that as like the rule, but like it screams lazy.
Yeah, no,
we've got 45 minutes, and this god is the god of light, and the Doctor needs to be told how to defeat them so that we can stick to the runtime. That's what it feels like.
It does feel like that. And it feels like when you're calling that out, in this episode, he's saying to you, you can't say it doesn't make sense.
Shut up, moron.
yeah, exactly.
Look at my infant wisdom. You're like, look at this glorious episode I've given you. Be thankful. Yeah, it's just, like, I maybe it's a bit more tongue-in-cheek and I'm feeling a bit called out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think it's not been bulletproof enough to then turn around. Like
your second episode. So.
Yeah, and like I think a good example is like, the Harley Quinn show. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And that makes fun of the fans left, right and centre. And I was laughing at that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, oh, this is kind of a bit cringe, because if it's good, then I think you kind of earn the right, to wink at the fans and like make fun of them a little bit in a fun way.
I agree.
But I think if it's not been, I don't know. I think some of it is valid complaints. Yeah. I just think as a culture with like films and shows, I think we have gone. I think there's like a side. There's an extreme where it's like plot hole this, plot hole that. This didn't work. Breaks immersion, which I think is extreme. But then I think there's another extreme where it's like it's not real. It's a movie. Yeah. Who cares? It's like we do. Yeah. Because it's as you say, it's bound by those rules.
Yeah.
Like I hate it when someone goes like. You question like, oh, well, how come, blah, 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 Iron Man does this, and someone goes, well, it's not real. It's like, yeah, but...
Within the boundaries of the world that we've set up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, Iron Man has an iron suit that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But he's also a human man. So if in the next scene he takes off the suit and someone chops his head off and then he puts it back on, and I go, that doesn't make sense. You can't go, well, it's all fake.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No, but you'd never said to me that there's a rule where he can get decapitated and then put his head back on. Deadpool, you told me that he can do that. So if he does that,
it's fine.
Sure, we'll have fun with it. Yeah. It reminds me a bit of like Osgood Perkins with what was the mummy?
Long legs.
Yeah. He did like a Reddit AMA, and someone pointed out. Spoilers for Longlegs, but the whole plot point where it's like they're targeting little girls born on a certain day.
Yeah.
Which is a really specific ID, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's only a few people in the country, or maybe like, a few people in the area.
Yeah.
And it happens to be the twist is in the third act, like the captain's daughter is one of those girls because it's her birthday party. And it's on the day that the captain knows the serial killer is going to get girls on those days.
Yeah.
And someone pointed that out to him, and he was like, they were like, why is that? And he was like, well, because it's like a movie or whatever. And I'm like, I don't feel like this is one of those times where that's applicable.
I agree.
I feel like that's a huge plot point that you establish that then you don't. That doesn't make sense to me. That's too big of a thing. Too specific.
You can't break your own rules with it. Yeah.
No. Just turn around and be like, well, it's a movie.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting movie in that, like, I know you underwhelmed. People that I have similar taste to in terms of our personal lives were underwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then people that I kind of read online, like certain critics, like quite trust or like their opinions, I don't think gave it like glowing reviews. But then there's also a lot of other people that really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of praise when it came out. But I remember coming away from it thinking, like, I just don't think stuff like that, I think, really brought it down. I just don't think it was bulletproof. Not that it needs to be like bulletproof, but it just needs to be. It needs to make a bit more sense.
Yeah, I think the thing with that movie is it had a fantastic mood and tone.
Yes.
And I think that was what I think we all enjoyed. But I think as a by the end of it, as a screenplay or as a movie, there's some weird decisions that it doesn't all come together. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that stuff does annoy me a bit as well, because it's like you've set up, like you said, you set up your own rules. You can't then break your own rules.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even movies that I love that do that. Like I think I Love It Follows. I do think the third act of that movie is a little bit like, well, we never was told this is how you could defeat it. But then there is an argument at the end of that whatever. I don't want to I mean, it came out. What was it? How many years? 10 years.
10 years ago, yeah. 10 years. But I agree with you. But I think again, something like It Follows this like. You have to scrutinize it to get to that point where you're like, that doesn't quite track.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Longlegs example and the Doctor example, I feel
it's
like
blatant.
It's so like, why the fuck would her mum point to the road? Like, it just makes no conceivable sense.
No, exactly. It makes no sense.
Why did you make her dressed in this like cloak?
Yeah.
She looks like she's otherworldly.
You have to jump through so many hurdles to try and justify that working.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think that's where
it's just silly.
Yeah, it was like, why even write that in the first place? Like, just think of something else.
I definitely think the rumors or the theories that the Doctor is in an actual TV show is going to come to fruition.
What was this? I don't know.
Like, is that the idea that, like, Mrs. Flood, the old lady,
all right,
who's breaking the fourth wall, is because she's like the final god, and she's gonna be like the god of like reality or whatever, and it's like she's trapped the Doctor in a show, which I feel like we've kind of hinted at by meeting those fans and the fact they're still alive at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I feel like that's to tell that they thought they were going to go away, but they didn't.
Yeah,
I think we are watching the Doctor trapped in a show, which I think could make some of the stuff I've not enjoyed better. The fourth wall breaks in particular, I hate that. Don't like that. I hate that. So if we can
it's weird. It's a weird. It doesn't feel like the right universe to do it in. It feels weird, and I think my problem with all that stuff is always whenever you do stuff like that. For me, it takes away all the stakes.
Yeah.
And the reason why someone like Deadpool can get away with it is because we're not really necessarily there for the stakes. We're there because he's going to make us laugh. It's comedy set pieces.
Whereas and also, like, it's the perspective of that character. So, like, if I then travel back to the Marvel Universe and he's not there, I can kind of plug back in.
Yes.
Whereas the Doctor is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He's there now forever. So, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Mm.
But if it's a TV show, he's trapped in a TV show, maybe that's why. Because obviously there was a bit kind of almost full breaking this episode where he like pushed the screen.
Glass, yeah.
All that stuff I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's definitely more enjoyable than the last time we met like gods. It's not quite, I don't know. It wasn't amazing. It was fun. It was fine. The Mrs. Flood stuff I just think is so funny. Like, how many old women are going to be the centerpiece of the mystery? Like, last year we had Sue, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Like these really old women.
Yeah.
Like, they're fairly similar in like appearance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Could we not have just had a different visual?
Yeah.
Like, could they not have been a completely different kind of being? Like, are they related in some way? It's just strange to me.
Yeah, I don't know where it was going with it. I don't.
What's the mystery of Granny number 3? Like,
yeah, it's really weird.
Just why?
Yeah, obviously, as a filthy casual, I'm like baffled like by these like this old lady. She was turning up, but she also lives next door to them.
Yeah, she's definitely got to be one of the gods.
I mean, yeah, she's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, they set it up because there was a whole thing last season as well, wasn't there? Where like they pointed out, oh, she was there and there, and then it didn't really.
There you are. Do I know you? No, but you're there. Yeah, I also wonder if You know, she says at the end, like, this is a limited run.
Oh yeah.
Is that?
Is that? Yeah, I thought that as well. Is that fucking now like it's over after this?
I don't know what's funny. Like, the plan has always been RTD. Like, he turns around and he goes, "Me and Shooty always plan to do this 2-season arc," and he regenerates at the end of the season, and RTD gives it to someone else. But that was always the plan. So like that stuff's kind of built in.
Yeah.
So like, say it does all get revealed as a TV show. It's like he then says after it's all done, like, yeah, this was always my plan to come back. Like, the David Tennant face coming back is all part of the fact that he's trapped in a TV show. It's all a commentary on nostalgia, and me coming back as a commentary on nostalgia. Now I'm gone, or it's just like her being playful, but it's going to turn out to be true. Because I think we are looking at,
I feel like that
a wilderness years too. Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on the ratings of this season.
We'll see. I think the options going forward are Disney don't renew, Doctor Who continues on BBC.
Yeah.
Much cheaper again, but it's about the stories, so I don't think
no, exactly. Clearly, as we've seen, like with these 2 new Doctor Who seasons,
bigger isn't better, is it?
Exactly.
I know. Or it goes away for a bit.
Yeah.
And either way, I think might be potentially for the better. Either option, really. I don't think the Disney deal's been that great. What have we really gotten out of it?
No.
You know,
I mean, I personally really didn't like that stuff this week of
the meta stuff.
Meeting the fans. It was too much for me.
But it's also, I just don't think it's clever enough.
I've kind of find it a bit annoying. Whereas, like, it feels like it thinks it's clever. Yeah. Not, and it kind of. I'm like, just give me a good, good mystery. I don't know. Just
like them talking about like Blink and all these adventures and stuff. I'm like, I don't think this is that clever. Like, it's just, again, like Planet of the Incels. It's really on the nose. You got one of the fans going, "Rip Doctor Who."
Yeah.
Hashtag Rip Doctor Who. I'm like,
yeah,
cool, I guess. Like, yeah, really clever. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was okay. It was fine. Next week looks like to be a darker episode.
Yeah,
looks like it could be cool.
Bit like last season we did the.
Yeah, we're definitely following a structure, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, but this year it doesn't seem like there's going to be any episodes where he barely features, which I think will automatically make it stronger.
I agree. That's true. That is good. I also did kind of like the look of some of the. It was a bit Prometheus-y.
The suits. Yes. So yes, could be cool. Could be cool. And then at some point Ruby's coming back.
Oh,
okay, I was going to play. But we've got 6 episodes left, so we'll see. But anyway, shall we talk a little bit about Sinners?
Let's do that,
because we both saw it before. We talked a bit about last week about we want to see Sinners, Warfare, and
Count 2. Yeah.
But I think Warfare and Count 2 hopefully next week's pod. But this week's pod, Sinners, Ryan Coogler's 4th, 5th film? Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther, 2, Sinners.
Yeah.
Fruitvale Station was his first feature, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I mean, I think you agree. Got a lot of time for Ryan Coogler. I think he's really passionate. He's sort of person like you watch the breakdown of like the different format aspect ratios. He's the sort of person like he talks about film and
he loves it.
Yeah, makes you love it. Yeah.
100%. He's a cool guy. He's passionate.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed that whole 10-minute video.
Stansworth.
Yeah.
Not an industry nepo baby.
No. Knows what he's talking about. I feel like he says things. I'm like, yep.
Ever since I saw Creed, I've been rooting for him.
Same. Yeah.
And I really like that. I think he's one of the better things to come out of the Marvel machine, in that like, yeah, he does his Black Panthers, but I really appreciate that he's not like Taika Waititi, where like he's just seemingly fallen into like the IP trap, where it's like it's not like Ryan Coogler is going to do a Star Wars movie or something. It's like I don't need to see that, but like him doing a period vampire movie with Michael B. Jordan, that's an original idea. I'm like, fuck yeah, that sounds great. Like, so I appreciate these.
I think that's why I love about him the most. Like, out of all those directors, he's sitting gone, I'm gonna use this money and try to make an original.
Yeah.
Love, passion project.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking, yeah.
I'm going to shoot on fucking film.
Yeah, exactly.
I am
actually.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. And, I mean, this is right up our street, I think, like, period set vampire movie.
I mean,
I took my girlfriend and I said, it's got Michael B. Jordan in it. And she went, well, Maxine be there. And I was like,
oh, no. Yeah.
Well, but it's okay, because Haley Steinfeld was in it. And she's
That's true.
she was looking very sexy. It was like for everyone. It was like for everyone. Yeah. On that note, also, what's something that's dying in cinema? Not only original ideas, but just like we've talked about this before, like just in general, like a sexiness to film and a romantic angle to film and like a horniness, in a good way because it's part of the human experience.
I agree.
I really like that was in the film.
Oh yeah, really, I love that it was just didn't shy away from any of that.
Everyone was horny, everyone was dancing, partying, and people wanted to shake each other, and like it just felt authentic to the relationships in the film, the key sort of romances that were going on.
I think it's a prime example of using sex properly as well, of like using it to show these characters' love for each other in these tough times. That's what I thought. I thought that instead of like, I know people complain like, oh, it doesn't move the plot forward, but
no, I agree. I think it did move the plot forward.
I think it did.
All the sex scenes really, I feel like were relevant to the movie, and even like, again, we're going to go into the spoilers, I guess. Well, should we do non-spoilers actually?
Okay.
I was just saying my non-spoiler take would be go out and see it. I think you really enjoy it. If you like vampire movies, if you like period set movies, if you like Ryan Coogler, if you like Michael B. Jordan, if you like Haley Steinfeld, there's something in it for everyone.
Have fun.
And it's a proper movie.
It is a proper original movie, action, horror, and it's got something to say. Why not?
Yeah.
100%.
Non-spoiler. What's that?
Spoilers now. Yeah.
So, for example, the sex scene where the cousin walks in on, is it Stack? Is the red hat twin?
Yeah.
And Haley Steinfeld getting it on.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and you think they're still getting it on, but it's actually she's killing him,
mauling him.
Like even that is serving a function. Exactly. Where he's like, "Oh, well, I left them alone because I thought they were getting it on." It's actually like, well, they kind of were, but now this is something else.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really tapped into like what's fun about vampires is like they're not just monsters; they're people. Like the stuff I really liked about the film was it's Jack O'Connell, isn't it? Jack O'Connell and the other vampires. Like once they've turned, they're not just trying to like kill you or whatever, or like threaten you. They're trying to convince you. They're like, it's much better over here with the immortals. Like, why don't you invite us in and we'll kill you? But it'll be for your own benefit. Like, and then you got like the turned Michael B. Jordan going like, yeah, like this is so much better. Like, I
thought that was like, great. And the fact that when is it Anna, I think gets killed, who's Smoke's like girlfriend, and he actually kills her with the stake. He's like, they're both literally like, no, I can't believe you've done that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting and a really unique way of doing the vampires. Of like, they don't want him to die; they just want him to be part of this. They want him to live forever. We can all be together, whereas you're going to be dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and I think it really tied in nicely with the era of black people during that era, during the slavery of them. Like, why be in this world? Come into this world, the vampire world, where we can reign. We will be. We don't have to deal with all this like the treat like shit, basically.
Yeah, and it's also like the fact that Jack O'Connell's like he's the one that's revealing to them like, yeah, these two whiteys that I bit and turned to my side, they were clan members, and they knew that they were going to descend on you after this. Like the reason why they sold it to you is because they wanted to like murder you all.
They
like,
kept the memories, and they would say it.
Yeah, and the way like. In that time period, he's kind of like beyond color and creed, isn't he? The head vampire, like that's kind of like what he's selling. It's like all kind of together. And then you got like the rebuttals that from their faith, and sort of like say like their soul won't pass on, and it's kind of a half life, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that's interesting because it kind of, again, we're jumping ahead, but. The sort of the final scene, which I think was a big swing that I appreciate, even though I don't know if it quite worked.
Same.
Jumping for the 90s,
yes,
and then dripped out Michael B. Jordan and Hager Steinfeld, who have been vampires ever since.
Yeah,
we reveal that the other twin couldn't go through killing him. I like that because it's like, they both sort of say like this was that night was our last sunset, the last time we were free. But they have also. The central kind of conflict with them and their romance was that they couldn't be together because of, their backgrounds and because of the time they lived in.
Yeah.
So they kind of get a happy ending in the sense that like they get to be together and love each other.
Yeah.
Into like the 90s and into like a more modern time, but then they are.
Yeah, it's almost like the villains win, but they're not kind of, yeah, it's a really
It's like, was that
yeah.
ultimately a good thing for them? They got to be together. They got to be together, even if it was in this like half-life.
Yeah.
And maybe their souls won't move on, and they can't die, but they get to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting, kind of like swerve towards the end.
So,
It wasn't just like as soon as they become vampires, they're like, it's like there was more nuance,
layers to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. And I like this whole, well, for you brought up a minute ago, of like them questioning their faith, because like their faith is also being questioned throughout as well. Especially with the whole idea of like music, and the music possibly being a sin or not, and
the power of music, the power of communities together. I thought it was great, that montage where you're kind of looking at like, that guy looks too modern to be here. Oh, and she looks too modern to be here. Oh, actually, we're kind of moving out of the bounds of this reality and seeing.
We went through the history of black music.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I fucking loved that scene. I thought that was amazing, and the way the music shifted through the decades in a seamless way. Because there's a line where they say that they believe that a song could be played so good that it could tap into ancestors' previous and future.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was one of those, why we need original movies and director moments where like that's a moment in a script and a blockbuster you never get. You need someone's vision to do that.
He has got a real vision, and I loved it. It's like the whole building burns away to sort of just see them as they are.
That was brilliant.
And I love that Jack O'Connell's vampire, like, the reason why he values that so much is because he can't tap into that.
Yeah,
like he's kind of, they're dead, aren't they? That's why he wants that. That's why I think the Native Americans were hunting him. So I think he was probably trying to do that to them and their culture beforehand. And yeah, I think it's a movie that, like, on rewatch will get better and better.
I agree.
And it's one of those things, like, I gave it 3.5 on Letterboxd, but I was caught between that, that classic thing of like, I could give it a 4.
Same, yeah.
3.5 seems a bit harsh. I did really enjoy it. 4 seems, I don't know, there's a couple of things I was like, I don't know how I feel about this decision.
Well, I think let's get into some of the stuff that I think we maybe wasn't too sure about. There's one big thing that I think I struggled with at the start. I don't know if you feel the same. The identical twins of Michael A and Michael B. Dalton. I did find there was an issue at times where I didn't know which twin was Stack and which one was Smoke.
Oh, really? I feel like that they did the hats.
They did the hats, but then when they didn't have the hats on, I was kind of, there was a few scenes where I was like, all right, okay, what one's this now? Because I feel like, and that's kind of my issue a little bit with doing the kind of actor plays twin thing that we've seen more frequent over the past 10 years. And there was a few scenes where I just felt like they weren't different enough at first for me to, personality-wise, for me to differentiate. I did eventually, as the movie went on, I did get more. But yeah, at first I found that hard at first. I do also think that as much as I like a lot of the scenes in this movie, I do think that it does feel a bit misjointed at times, the way it's structured. I could have done with more build-up and execution of some of the vampire stuff, being the action sequences, having more of a tense... There was a great tense build-up, but I feel like it kind of all gets quite resolved quite quickly, and then we're back to sort of like the movie that we started off with, once the clan members come to...
I did kind of like that, though.
I like
this,
that,
like,
well.
oh, well, now we're going to resolve this bit.
Yeah.
And he still kind of had that ethereal time where, like, as he's dying, like, he sees his wife
cool.
and baby mama, and she's like, you can hold him, and like, that's like, yeah, I thought that was really cool.
I liked, this is the thing, I like everything that was trying to be done. I just feel like there was moments where it didn't feel like it quite all come together as much as I would have liked, but everything on paper, I was like, oh, it could have been even more special, I feel like. I don't know what it was.
I do think it's hard when, like, I do think people have hyped it to buggery. I think that happens all the time with this kind of stuff. Like, people are like, all over social, like, oh, it's incredible, it's a classic. It's like, I think we just need to sit with it first.
Yeah, just have...
We won't know about Drive for another 30 years.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
But I definitely really enjoyed it. And even that kind of stuff, like, I don't really like, in general, when they cast an actor to play twins.
Yeah.
I always think it's corny.
Same.
Because whether identical twins do look like they could be that identical, I don't think they ever do look quite that identical.
There's always a little
tell.
something, yeah.
I just find, I think because there's only one Michael B. Jordan, I can tell there's an effect going on. There's something with Legend with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something so not real in the frame.
Yeah.
And then like, something like Mickey 17 where it's like part of the plot.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
Yeah.
But then like that Alto Nights, the new Robert De Niro thing,
yeah.
like as soon as I saw the it's a gimmick.
Yeah,
it's playing both of them. I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I agree.
However, I do think this film gets away with it a little bit more because I don't know about you, but like as soon as I knew that it's a vampire movie and we're going to get identical twins, I'm like, well, clearly the conflict is going to be that one of them becomes a vampire and one of them isn't, and they're going to fight each other. Like I felt like that was telegraphed. So like on that basis, I feel like it kind of worked.
And they put it in the trailer as well. So it's like,
did they? Yeah. I was going to say, because I didn't remember that trailer that well, but I do think it's annoying that they showed that Haley Steinfeld is a vampire at a certain point in the plot in the trailer, because they play that off as like, is she going to turn?
Yeah.
Or is she, or, she's just going to go out and see them. It's like, I would have liked there to have been a bit more tension, like, is she going to get away? Or is like, because I'd seen the trailer, I know she's going to become a vampire. So that is really annoying.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting how they marketed this movie, because one movie that we really loved as teenagers, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
It's very similar structurally.
Very similar.
Like, even the fact it's like George Clooney and brother,
criminals, get put in
first
a situation,
crime film.
Yep, second half.
End up like on location. Yeah, it's Ryan Coogler From Dusk Till Dawn.
It is, yeah.
But obviously, and it does shift genres, but it is also, it's not quite the turn from Dusk Till Dawn where it comes out of nowhere in like a good way. It is like set up a little bit more.
It is, and it's more, it treats it more seriously in this than it does in From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, embraces the fun of
but I just love the From Dusk Till Dawn. It is such a twist.
Yeah,
like, you don't know until it happens, and you are like, I've never felt that in a movie ever. Like a true genre bend.
Yeah,
like so many movies do it all the time, where like I feel like the opening scene, whether it's like the actual intent or the studio note, is to signal the genre. It's sometimes to the point where it's like embarrassingly so. Like the one that really sticks out to me in the last couple of years is The Extraction. The first half an hour, or like the first 20 minutes, or whatever, there's no action. He's just like gets given the assignment. He goes to like, it's an action movie. But then for some reason, before the actual opening, they tag a little bit on before it comes up saying Extraction, where he's like shooting a couple of guys. He shoots like 2 dudes and that falls off a bridge, and then it goes Extraction, and then it's like 6 months earlier. And it's like the only reason that scene exists is to signal the genre. If you just put it on blind, like, and I think that's kind of like, I don't like that sometimes. Like, you look at John Wick. By the time he finally hammers his floor and pulls his guns out, you're like, I am ready to see some action. Yeah. Like, it doesn't need to lean on, we're just going to start in media res so that you like, because we're insecure that you're going to stay here. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like that from Dusk Till Dawn where it truly shifts into something else.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that about this, but it's just like, it's interesting that, it must have been difficult to sell it without spoiling it.
Yeah, and I don't really. That's not really.
It's not criticism.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me, to be honest, because I think I get why they do it. It's for this, I think it makes sense. I think it's also like a lot of people, and we know a few people that don't like that Dusk Till Dawn takes such a return.
Well, what's funny is in my screening, it was really packed out, which was really nice. Last time I've been in a packed out screening was Nosferatu, so vampires clearly get
this their year.
As soon as, obviously, a couple of supernatural things had kind of happened. When that character said they're vampires, a couple of people in front of us literally walked out. And they were like huffing. And I was like, I feel like maybe from the posters you thought you were just going to get like a crime.
Crime, yeah.
Because if you're not used to that, maybe it'll be enough to be like, I'm out here. But
no, it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I agree, Yeah, I mean, everything I was going to say, I was trying to get across earlier, was I feel like the catharsis of defeating the vampires wasn't as strong as I'd liked. Whereas
I don't like they burst in, they just kind of like fight them.
Yeah. I feel like also there should have been more people in the lot. I feel like too many people get turned vampires too quickly for me. I would have liked to have more of a scene there.
Where they're like overpowering them almost.
Like you have in From Dusk Till Dawn, where they get so backed up that someone has to do a sacrifice or whatever. that was a bit missing for me. But everything else I really enjoyed. I actually really enjoyed the whole stuff about the blues music as well.
Yeah. It's about something.
It's about
just like a mindless vampire movie.
No, exactly.
Also, I thought in terms of the bang for your buck, I thought there was some really cool deaths, like Delroy Lindo's character slashing his own wrist to draw them in.
That
and
was cool.
Willingly letting them eat him to death.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
Yeah.
Also, that actor, originally from Lewisham.
Oh, no way. Yeah, wicked.
Yeah. Shout out Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
Amazing. But also the I forget her name, but the wife, the shopkeepers that he speaks to at the start, once the husband's turned, when she stabs him through the heart and they both burn.
Set on fire. That was epic. That was actually probably my favourite death of them. That was really cool.
Although, again, I love watching the film with a load of people in the cinema. There was such audible groans when obviously they know they can't be invited in, and she's like, "Come on, then." Everyone was like, "Oh, like that classic horror moment of like,
why did you do that?" Yeah.
That was. I felt like it was building up to that.
Yeah,
but it was a bit.
Yeah,
it was a bit obvious.
Yeah.
Like,
a bit silly.
A bit silly. Yeah, you've doomed us all.
Yeah.
She's responsible directly for everyone dying. Really.
Yeah.
That's
true.
But yeah, I get the motivation of like, oh, it's because she was wrapped with like fear that they were going to go for her daughter. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did she have to make sure everyone died with her?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you could argue in emotional blind rage, she does it.
But I don't think it quite played it enough.
I agree. Yeah,
like she just kind of is, come on it.
Yeah.
You know.
There was also some really terrifying moments, like the quick cuts to just Jack O'Connell flying. I feel he was really scary in it. He was really...
When Hedy Stanfield starts walking away, and he just like floats up.
Yeah, and then they cut away immediately, and you're like, oh, that's how you do a cutaway.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes we'll be like, why are you cutting away from that moment? I hate when they do it. That's how they do it. That's how you do it perfectly, because it's like, oh, I genuinely...
Great sound design for him.
Yeah.
Also, like they showed great sounds, like with his long, spindly, like hands, like when he gets the plate stuck in his head.
Yeah, the effects were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went hard as well. I mean, I don't know about you, but is it implied at one point that he's like eating their baby? Because during the clan members, when he goes in and there's the cot, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, damn. That's hardcore. But
no, it was. If you like vampires, I feel like you got satisfied.
It was fun.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I think it will stay with me.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of maybe I should give it a 4, really. Maybe 3.5 harsh. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But then, I didn't know how it sat with me that we time jumped. But the more I think about it, the more I like it. I think it is just a swing.
It is a proper big swing. I was not expecting.
No.
So,
like, I know we jump around in time a little bit with the montage and music, but I feel like that's kind of like, as we were saying earlier, it kind of exists in the sort of the filmic language of like we're not quite there. We're sort of jumping around. Yeah. Whereas when we just time jump and they walk in. And they're both dressed super 90s, aren't they?
Yeah, it almost felt like we were setting up like a sequel. It was kind of like, almost felt like the Marvel rubbed off a little bit on him there. It was weird.
I thought that, but then I was so glad it then became, no, there was actually an ending to it.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he knowingly kind of subverted the post-credit scene of like, I feel like a lesser movie would have been, they walk in, old man Sammy's like, oh, here we go again. It's cut to black.
Yeah.
Sinners 2.
Or remember, you got to watch your back. I was like,
yeah. We are going to come for you, old man.
Yeah.
Like,
we're thinking about moving around these parts.
Yeah, and he just like, the guitar turns into like a shotgun. And like, Sinners 2.
Yeah, exactly.
The sinners will return.
Yeah.
Instead, it was like, probably the best line of the movie when he's like, like, the last time I saw the sun, last time I saw my brother, last time I was free.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's it's definitely a W.
Yeah, definitely a W.
Another Ryan Coogler W.
Yeah, definitely.
The only film of his I really didn't like, to be honest, was Wakanda Forever, and it's just because it's not really his fault or anyone's fault. It's that, well, I think the only fault is of Marvel heads to be like, let's push and meet the release date when our stars passed away. Yeah. I think they should have waited.
I agree.
And really thought about what they were going to do with it. I feel like you can feel that it's rushed when you watch it. And you can feel the crater that is left by Chadwick Boseman in the movie. I think that's the problem. I think it's a noble failure that he tried to still make it work, but that's the only film I feel like doesn't work. Really.
I agree.
So another Ryan Coogler win. I guess next one was probably Background for Free, but then hopefully after that, I'd love him to do another one for him.
I agree.
Cash another blank check, Mr. Coogler.
Coogler style.
It's the Coogler style. which is funny because Love with Lawrence and Community.
Yeah, there we go. It's all connected. Yeah.
So, yeah. Before we depart, just what we talk about. So obviously, there's quite a lot of Star Wars news.
Yeah.
Star Wars Starfighter, Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling, is in the cinemas. Along with Mando, it's in the cinemas. Yeah, so no more streaming 6-part events. I think that era's done.
We'll see.
On the other hand, though, like Sean Levy doesn't exactly excite me.
Yeah,
but then Ryan Gosling. When is he ever? I think the only time he's ever really made like pure IP slop is Grey Man.
Yeah.
Like even like Barbie or like The Fall Guy, like stuff that's a bit more like popcorny.
We always understand why he's picked it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like Adam Driver's like that as well.
Yes.
Well, you understand why they picked this script, why they're doing the story, even if it doesn't always work out, and they're usually still great.
Yeah. So, right, Adam Driver's a really good comparison because if Adam Driver hadn't been Kylo Ren and they'd cast him in this, and he's also been in a Sean Levy film before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have had the exact same reaction of like, well, it is weird that he's like praising the script. It's a Sean Levy film, but also like he does know what's good.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said to me off camera that like you just know it's not going to be like great.
Yeah.
It could be good.
Good at best. I feel like.
I think Sean Levy could take a really good script and make a competent movie.
Hopefully,
no doubt.
Hopefully, he blows us away.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's a hard job making movies, but just going off of track record.
It's hard though because it's like
I
think this will be more serious than like a Deadpool or a Night at the Museum.
Exactly.
He might be his most serious franchise thing ever.
Yeah,
he might have Free Guys. Like that's another Ryan Reynolds joint.
Like exactly. Yeah,
like this could be
his footing. He might find his footing with it. We don't know. Gosling is interesting. It does scream, "Come back, guys! We need you."
Yeah. Darth Maul TV show. Ryan Gosling as a Jedi. Yeah. I feel like they specifically know they lost people like you, me, and you. And they're like, please come back. We have Ryan Gosling as a Jedi now.
Yeah.
Well, the rumor is that he's a Jedi, teaching his nephew, and that Jesse Plemons is going to be hunting him.
See, that sounds cool to me, but why are they called Starfighter? That makes me think of the game, which is they fly the crafts.
Well, it does make you think of ships specifically, but I do think if he's being hunted across planets, they're going to spend a lot of time in like ships, even though they're Jedi.
Yeah,
and also like the component of the prequel Jedi Order is they've got the Starfighters.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, were you a Jedi Starfighter back in the Clone Wars? I feel like there could be a thing there where like he was a Starfighter, and he's a Jedi. I don't know. I don't think it's like quite as cut and dry as like I expected in the
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like
Luke is
Starfighter.
Yeah, you're right. You're actually that's true. And I do also like. I feel like a lot of people are going to be angry at this, but I do actually like that it's post Return of the Jedi, right?
Post Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, it's post Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh wow! And I do like that it's not connected to anything, so that's exciting. Okay, that's cool.
Everything about it on paper, I'm like, could be fun.
Yeah. I just don't want it to be connected to any of that.
No, what I need is good action, a standalone story that's heartfelt, and that works, and that, like the problem is though, as I'm saying this, I'm like, this is what Mandalorian was.
Yeah.
This is kind of like Ryan Gosling's Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But the problem is like, well, okay, do we pull it off and then Starfighter 2? They're like, well, here's the Filoni Avengers. Yeah. It's going to turn out like
Gosling turns up in the Mandoverse.
Yeah, like how long can they like stop themselves?
Yeah, it's Gosling and Grogu, and he's grown up now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah,
but like all the announcements, I think we really are in a different era for all the franchises. We've spoken about this before with like Marvel. They're clearly like now the slate is like Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers, the A-listers. I feel like we're doing that with Star Wars now as well. It's like more TV show.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Gosling Jedi. Please come back. We promise we're not going to commission like 20 shows and scripts and not make them. Yeah. We promise. Like
I love this. Like, let's pick a character to do an animated show where we've basically covered his whole entire life. He's died twice technically, and there's this one tiny little slit of the road that we're gonna we're going to cover because we haven't done. That's the only thing we haven't done.
It's
yet.
weird, isn't it?
It's very weird. Yeah.
It's like there's characters in Star Wars where like Luke, we've seen him die, and we've seen him in his prime.
Yeah.
But there is like a 30-year stint that's only really covered by like the new canon, like comics and stuff. Where you could do a Luke show, but Maul's those characters where like I've seen him post Phantom, Clone Wars era, a little gap into Rebels era, death.
Yeah.
Like I've seen everything.
Yeah. Even pops up in Solo.
Yeah. So like I've seen like this is a tiny gap.
Yeah.
Like I am shocked they didn't announce like the Luke animated show.
Yeah.
And also like
Yeah.
you could have brought Mark Hamill in to voice him. And you're still kind of getting your cake and eating it, but it's animated. The next animated show.
That's tough.
I'm shocked they didn't do that.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah, that'd be cool if they did. They've never done that era animated.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But instead of it's Maul creating his criminal empire, it's Luke creating his Jedi Order.
Not even that. Like, the fucking comics, man. I remember, like, I was reading them on the build up to Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, "This is some good fucking shit."
Before the inflection point.
yeah. For the death.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting, isn't it?
I think if they said the Maul was live action, I'd be sitting here saying something different.
Even though it's like a slither. It's like...
Yeah, because like, all right, we've not seen him in live action since Phantom. Well, we had a little bit in Solo, not really.
Yeah, not really.
So then I'd be interested. But it's like we've seen enough of him in the animated stuff. It's a weird one, but
yeah. It is desperate.
Yeah, it's
the Mando film is desperate.
Yeah.
Like, how can we get more money out of this? Like, we can't get money out of streaming. The bubbles burst.
He bottled it on the third season.
Yeah. But it's just like no one wants that. They're not garnering more subscribers on Disney Plus by making these shows.
Yeah.
So there's clearly an effort going back into like instead of Mando season 4, you're getting the Mando movie.
Yeah.
Like this Starfighter thing by Sean Levy would have been a show a few years ago. Like conversely, Skeleton Crew, if they'd announced it, this celebration would have been a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like we're clearly pushing back to theatrical.
Yeah.
Which I think's good.
And he would have been a Jedi because they were so afraid of lightsabers for so long.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with Marvel, isn't it? Like Daredevil was already a TV show. We're not going to get more TV shows. Like this Ironheart and all this kind of stuff that's coming out is just a holdover of the old regime.
Yeah.
Like streaming is going more for like live events. Like apparently Netflix might be buying UFC.
Yeah, there's room
because they're not going to keep making originals.
And if Alien is Amazon, there's a lot of talks of the pay-per-view being not a thing as much.
They just want sports. They want stuff they can.
But that makes sense.
Subscription packages for
It transitions over to me that makes more sense rather than TV and stuff. But
so the change could be exciting.
Yeah, it could be exciting.
But we'll see. But for now, I'd say, we'll be cautiously optimistic on the Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie. Yeah. And if you'd said Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie to me 10 years ago, I would have been wetting my knickers.
Yes, we'd be crying with joy. We'd cry with joy. Even the fact that he's wearing a hat that said, "Never tell me the odds," you know.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
yeah, don't tell me the odds.
Yeah, no, because they're not good. Yeah.
Well, this has been the Full Fat Podcast. If you want more week-to-week reviews of Doctor Who, then come back next week. Next week also, we will have the first arc of Andor ready to dissect, and then Thunderbolts is the week after. But Doctor Who, Andor next week.
Yeah.
Next week after that, it's gonna be a fucking fat one.
Oh yeah.
Boy. Oh yeah, God. You ready for this big boy?
Show me the fat one.
For this big boy. Yeah, you ready to absorb it? Yeah. It's gonna be Doctor Who and Thunderbolts, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess next week, hopefully we can see Warfare and Accountant 2 before then.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, big things coming up. Yeah. Big man thing.
A lot happening.
A huge thank you to Dr. Chike and Peter Vaughan for being my Full Fat patrons. Your contribution to keeping the channel running is immeasurable. If you'd like to join the Patreon for exclusive goodies, early releases of main videos, the podcast, video scripts, and a thank you in the credits, then please head on over to patreon.com/fullfatvideos to choose one of the paid tiers.